What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel with On 3. Today on the Hard Count, we're going to talk about Nebraska's loss yesterday in Ireland and what this means for the Cornhuskers. Welcome into the Hard Count, the People's Show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake doing the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. We got to talk about Nebraska, because Nebraska and Northwestern went toe-to-toe yesterday in Ireland, and it was actually a great turnout for Ireland. I was proud to see that. But Nebraska, it felt like the same song. I would say second verse, but at this point in time, it's like sixth or seventh verse, to be truthful with you, probably more than that. Nebraska fell just short yesterday, losing 31-28, again, on foreign soil. So I want to make this clear. We're going to break this game down and give you a reaction tonight on the Hard Count. So if you haven't yet, set your notification bell, check on this channel. The full feature-length show of this Hard Count is going to be reacting to the game tonight. What I want to do in this video is talk about Nebraska and talk about Scott Frost from their point of view, just strictly Nebraska. Because ultimately last night, or I guess it was yesterday afternoon, there were times where Nebraska looked like the better team. That first half, to me, there was so much promise. Casey Thompson is slinging it all over the yard. You have your transfer receivers looking great. Trey Palmer at times looked like the best player on the field for either program. So the transfers offensively were connecting really well. And that gave me a lot of reason for excitement. A lot of reason for excitement. You kind of got this feeling like, okay, they might just kind of handle this game. And then you move on, and then you're up 28-17. There's the onside kick. And that's what I really want to harp on. You're up 11, third quarter. I want to say it was around 10 to 9 minutes left to go in the game. And Scott Frost just goes full Will Ferrell mode than the other guys, puts his foot all the way on the gas pedal, screams America. One thing led to another. They didn't recover the onside kick. And now everybody and their mother who has a Twitter account wants to win Twitter today and have the pithy joke about Scott Frost and how he should be fired and how this is the beginning of the end. That may be the case, but to strictly harp on this onside kick, I think is a little bit lazy. I will also see these things, though. Hindsight's 20/20, right? Like, we can talk about this on a Sunday all we want. It wasn't executed. At the end of the day, you didn't recover an onside kick and gave the other program life. You gave your opponent a chance to get back into it. To the same token, was it a high-risk, relatively medium reward play? Yes, that too. Like, again, hindsight 20/20, you don't do that again. It's not really necessary. You're up, you have the momentum, and you gave them a chance to grab some of that momentum back and then ultimately do what they did. But here's what I'm thinking when I watch that play. Again, execution, horrific. However, what have we said about Nebraska all offseason? What has everybody said about Nebraska all offseason, including Scott Frost? We got to have a killer instinct. We got to have a way to put these teams away. We have to do that. To take the next step as this program, for me to take the next step as a leader, we got to be able to finish teams off. And so when I'm watching this and given his explanation after the game, as a player, I love it. Heck yeah, you bet on your team when you say, okay, this is a risky play. I think we can do it. Onside kick, go recover it. Because if they recover that onside kick, that game is virtually the beginning of the end. They start to just continue to pour it on, score it again. They go up 18 points. Northwestern's not able to just run the ball down their throat like they did the rest of the game. It changes the entire complexion of the game. You still have to be able to stop teams on defense. Like, you're going to look at this onside kick as the turning point momentum-wise. It's probably fair. It's probably true. But you still have to do a lot more up front if you're Nebraska. You still have to be able to execute offensively. And some of that is momentum, and some of that you're saying, well, if they don't give up a touchdown on that drive and have such a short field, maybe the game looks different anyway. But the thesis I want to make sure I drive home is I appreciate Scott Frost saying, this is a chance for us to do what we've talked about all offseason doing, finishing teams off when we got them on the ropes. Now, ultimately, it ended up being too aggressive because you didn't execute and you didn't get it done, and you opened the door and you lost the game. So by nature of the media, by nature of the world, we're going to talk about this. But I think that we need to also address the fact that if they do recover that, we're talking about Scott Frost is, wow, good for Nebraska. See, that's what we've been saying all offseason. You got to find a way to finish teams. Good for Nebraska going for the throat when they had them on the ropes. Hindsight's 2020, but I don't hate that as much as I think a lot of people do. So now what? Right? Now what? Same song, 11th verse, whatever it is, you drop another close game with a retooled roster, new quarterback, new faces all over the field, and you still drop a close game. Move to 3-21 by trailing at half, I mean. And again, Nebraska was up multiple times. And so all this says to me is this just places even more emphasis on the Oklahoma game. Because you're going to have North Dakota, you're going to have Georgia Southern, both teams that if you don't handle, you got even more problems if you're Scott Frost in Nebraska, but teams that you should take care of. And then you got Oklahoma coming to Lincoln. An Oklahoma program that I would expect to be undefeated. A lot of juice around that game, a lot of buzz, a little less than it probably would have been if both teams are undefeated. But for Scott Frost in Nebraska, this is your opportunity to get your swagger back, to still prove to yourself that you are who you think you are. Because right now, that team, I would imagine, is having a battle mentally. Your psyche is all over the place because you work so hard in spring ball, you work so hard in fall camp, you said all the right things, you did all the right things in house, and then you get to the game and you still lose by a score. So now you're saying, are we who we think we are? We're looking in the mirror. Is that still the person that we thought we were as Nebraska? You may very well be who you think you are if you're Nebraska. You may still have that ability to finish teams off and to get to where you want to go. Heck, Kirk Herbstreit picked him to win the Big Ten West yesterday. If that tells you anything about what Nebraska has on this roster and the confidence they have from the external coming into this locker room. But at the end of the day, you're still questioning because you couldn't get it done against Northwestern, a team that you were up 2 scores, a team that you were favored by 2 scores going into that game, a team that you took care of handily last year, 56-7. So now you got to find a way to get your swagger back, get your belief back. Also, like we prefaced in our preview for this game, now you got to deal with all the external circumstances of, is Scott Frost going to be fired? Is he going to be our coach next week? What's up with Scott Frost? How hot is his seat? All of those storylines, because again, he was not hired by the power that is now in office at Nebraska. That is very, very clear. That's a very big deal. And so now for Nebraska, you have to find a way to band together. Right now, you find out what you're made of at Nebraska. It's a shame you got to find out in week 1 in this fashion, but now you find out who's our foxhole guys. Who's going to lock arms, run through smoke, and get through this adversity. Because this adversity can either break you apart early in the year and cause you to be soft and lose your psyche and lose your confidence, and you can just get beat up the rest of your schedule and mail it in, say, oh, well, we got a new coach next year probably, whatever. Or you can say, no, forget all that noise. Let's band together. Let's watch the tape. Let's get better. Let's bury this. Let's regroup. Let's not lose our confidence. Let's not flinch, and we'll go back to work. But that Oklahoma game, I think, could be a make-or-break game for their season. Obviously, a lot of importance to the Northwestern game going into it, but having dropped that game, the stakes just keep going up game by game. So we're going to track you here. We're excited to see it. We appreciate you tuning into the Hard Count. This has been it for us here on the Hard Count. We're going to keep the party rolling. Again, watch us tonight as we break down this game, give you our full reaction. We'll see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.